I've known Jaylin for over 5 years, and he's just an amazing man. He's a man of the people. He's a man that his yes is yes and his no is no. He's transparent. He's a man full of integrity, and he's someone you can count on.
And I've been in Duluth, Georgia with a small business. He always takes my phone call. He's always willing to listen to me and offer whatever advice he can to help me. Someone that you can trust and depend on, and is very relatable.
Jaylin, I know him during he's serving as a city council, and always he's like a friendly and helping nature. And I feel he always helps all the small businesses in Johns Creek.
I've met every member of Jay's family, and I realized that Jay and I were not just brothers in friendship, but brothers in Christ. Jay's faith has really helped me on my path with Christ, and he has really helped me become the father and the husband that I've always wanted to be.
Jaylin is an immigrant to this country, and he supports all immigrants in achieving their American dream. I know in the state capitol, Jay will work hard to make sure not just all people in Johns Creek, but also across the state of Georgia, anyone, no matter where you come from, will be able to achieve that dream here in this state.
Doesn't bring baggage or negativity, but brings honesty, integrity, very, very smart. Just like he's going to bring to the Capitol, he brings his sense of ethics, of integrity.
Jaylin and I served on the Johns Creek City Council for 4 years. Jay was someone I could always count on when the important decisions came before City Council to make a reasoned, fact-based, and rational decision. So I urge you to vote for Jaylin for State House.
Hello everybody. So Jaylin we have here today, and good evening Jay.
Good evening.
Good evening, good evening all. So Jay is a American dreamer who had been immigrant long back, 30 years ago to USA, and he lives with his wife Mimi. And through his hard work, through his determination, he has realized many of the dreams like us, and he was a successful businessman and city councilman at Johns Creek. Jay has created a number of jobs here in Johns Creek, and he has proven to be like building the bridges with the diverse communities. Now Jay wants to ensure that the same opportunity should live for the next generation. Okay, Jay, can you introduce yourself?
Very good. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Jaylin, and I'm the candidate for House District 50 Republican representative. And in the past 4 years, I've served on Johns Creek City Council, and after I was elected back in 2015. And in the last 4 years, we have accomplished a great deal of tasks in the city of Johns Creek. And just a couple things that I'm most proud of is I was tasked by City Council members and the mayor to spearhead the Johns Creek International Festival. And little do we know that this festival has turned into a 20,000 people in attendance in the very first year. We're very proud of that. Because when we first had the idea, we believe the culture and food will bring our diverse community together, and which we did. During the first 2 years of International Festival, we were able to attract thousands, tens of thousands of visitors to our city, and have a great day and fun, family fun, and great food, international food. And I am very proud of that accomplishment. And I'm also very glad that Johns Creek International Festival has put our city on the map. Second thing is that some of you may know that cricket is a very popular sport among South Asians, and we were just fortunate enough to have a park that will have in the future that will have 2 cricket fields, regulation-sized cricket fields, and it all started with citizens like you concerning about the direction of our city, and by listening to our citizens who are very active in advocating the importance of the sports. And I am happy to let everyone know that I'm one of the city council members that brought cricket sports to our city. And these are the 2 things that I think will be the signature for our city in the future and for the years to come.
Thank you, Jay. And his motto being like the freedom, safety, and prosperity. And he has a lot of Christian faith, and he has been in the task force of the governor, and he handled a lot of issues in Georgia. And he is like fulfilling the American dream by protecting their jobs and also safeguarding and rebuilding the Georgia economy. And he is increasing access to the healthcare, and his policies and public motto being like fully funding the public schools, and at the same time restoring funding for the public safety and reducing the gridlocks of the roads and the congestions that we really see in Georgia. So that is most of the things that Jaylin want to really look into it. And he has a lot of experience in bringing up these policies as a councilman, as you already know. And Jay, one question we wanted to ask, what policies would you want to be in place to get this going to ensure that this is continued for years?
So, many of you know that state of Georgia in the past 7 years were the best state to do business among all 50 states. And that's something that Georgians should be proud of. And we need to have policies in place that will facilitate this tradition to continue. And a few things that on top of my list when I get elected, to simplify the regulations, and we have so many regulations nowadays, suffocate the business community. And we must simplify the process for someone who is interested in setting up business in our state. Simplify the process and make this process as painless as possible. And we do have so many regulations nowadays that that kind of entangle the business owners, that instead of they are able to devote their time and focus to be productive, they ended up spending time in the compliance issue. And I'm not, and I don't mean to have to stand for no regulations. I think regulations is important when it comes to public safety and also comes to public health. However, for the most part, business community have very little to do with these areas, and therefore I would like to look into simplify and maybe minimize some of the Georgia regulations, and that will be my number one priority. And I think that's what it takes to get our Georgia economy moving again. With the pandemic happening this year, we are anticipating a tremendous reduction on future revenue, particularly 2021. The state revenue will be much less than 2020. And with that in mind, I just like to share, in the business community, many of you, if you're small business owners, you totally understand what it takes to bring in the revenue and to meet your obligation. And doing what I can, where I am with what I have, is not something that I have to learn. You know, that has been my business practice for the last 30 years. So I think this is important, that we need to look at the state budget and also look at the policies and regulations that are in place. We need to add those who will facilitate the business environment and also remove some of those are suffocating the business community.
That's a great point, Jay. And I see that you are participating in many of the non-profit organizations, especially in the Asian communities and Indian communities. He's been very active supporting like a lot of like school processing and policy making. And we also see that he was one of the chief member in one of the task force that governor really appointed at one point of time. He handled a lot of things like really that helped Georgia to up.
Yes.
That's great of you. And one question is like on the veterans. And what are your concerns for veterans, and what do you plan to do for them once you are in Congress?
If you are involved with any veterans issue, that number 22 might be standing out to you. There are 22 veterans every day committed suicide. And I just want to say it's important that many veterans they served their country. They came home and suffered PTSD. And one thing that that I will be advocating is I like to utilize the cannabis oil, which has proven to help veterans in PTSD issues and also pain relief. And I'm not, let me say this, make this very clear. I am not advocating for recreational use, but medically it has been medically proven with many cases that cannabis oil will actually help veterans to ease their condition. And I think with the veterans, our veterans have done so much for our country that preserve the freedom that you and I enjoy. This is the very least that we should do to make sure that they will be looked after they adopt back into civilian life. And one other thing that I'd like to share is we have one of the most, just so you know, that the very first replica for Vietnam Memorial Wall now is permanently displayed in the city of Johns Creek, located in our Vietnam Memorial Wall. And this has been an effort. I would say probably took us about 18 months altogether to make it happen. It was a traveling wall that, going all over the United States, but City of Johns Creek has made a quality decision, and I'm so glad that my colleague at the City Council also supported to bring Memorial Wall to Johns Creek as its permanent home. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm a full supporter of our veterans, and I think we should do everything that we can to help them once they retire from their military career.
That's so nice of you. So when you hear him, you understand that he has a voice of the heart. Okay, he has a service motto. So that is the first thing you'll see when you meet Jaylin. That's what the community here really feels in Georgia, and we're really glad to have him this evening. And the next question we have for you is value voters. What do you believe the core values of the conservative movement, and how we can better communicate conservative values to the next generation, Jay?
That's a great question, and I'm so glad that I have this opportunity to share with you. Being a conservative is not about taking on position and to be selfish. And I think many of you might have heard my liberal friends. They are very compassionate about everything, for education, for just for environment. Many of my friends seem to miss that one important issue. I would say I am a very compassionate person, that and I believe that I have done quite a bit for the nonprofit organizations in the last 20 years. And one major difference between conservatives and liberals is we are compassionate about one issue. Conservatives will use their own time, their own resources to advance their cause. But liberals usually would like to have somebody else's time and resources to advance their cause. And at the end of the day, I think between liberals and conservatives, we might, at the end result, that we might want the same thing. For example, that we want higher education. We want to make higher education very accessible. We want to make sure that our healthcare system is very accessible for everyday American. I do. But the way that I was brought up and I was taught is you always want to count the cost before you build a house. And as I'm counting the cost, some of those proposals in my mind is impossible to implement without raising tremendous amount of taxes. And I think keeping the tax low is one of the freedom aspect that I will be focused on. I think high taxes always will cause the slowdown on the economy and also having additional burdens on everyday citizens. And therefore, my proposal will be very much private sector initiated. For example, healthcare, I would like to look into options from the private sectors and embrace free enterprise and free market, because competition is always what will bring quality up and price down. And throughout history, we will always see free market is what will bring the competitions, and they have to compete for quality of services or products, and also they have to compete on prices. We have to look into private sector solutions instead of looking at government and say what the government can do. And the more that we ask government to do, the more freedom that we're giving away. And I hope this will distinguish between conservatives and liberals. And I am a very compassionate person, and therefore in the past that I always use my own resources and invest my own time to advance the cause that I believe in. And I think that's the major difference between conservatives and liberals.
That's awesome. So that's great to hear from Jay. And if we saw, like, he is the one who is going to create opportunities. He's the one who wants to bring in new employment, new job creation. And he has a successful venture like the Pacific Ventures, right, Jay? You had Pacific Ventures. Yes. And he is involved into like a lot of commercial and also the residential constructions, and he created a lot of jobs for the community. And we definitely are like really glad to have you here. And definitely your message would definitely endorse like a lot of Asian and Indian communities. And we definitely like praise God for having you here.
Awesome.
And all the best for your election.
I appreciate it. Thank you.